If you're a school administrator, principal, dean, provost, superintendent, or department chair, this episode is especially for you. Right now, there is an enormous amount of conversation about artificial intelligence in education. New tools are emerging quickly. Institutions everywhere are trying to understand what these technologies mean for teaching, learning, and administration. Some of the advice circulating is thoughtful and useful. Other guidance is still evolving as people experiment and learn what actually works in real educational environments. The decisions institutions make over the next year or two will likely shape how they adapt to these changes. My goal in this episode is simply to contribute a perspective to that conversation. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome back to the AI Educator. Over the last few episodes, I've been laying some groundwork. We talked about why AI implementations sometimes struggle in education. We explored the different types of AI tools appearing in classrooms. And we discussed how educators are navigating the reality that students are already using AI in a variety of ways. Today, I want to focus on the perspective of institutional leadership, the people responsible for guiding budgets, policies, and long-term strategy. Because ultimately, everything we've discussed so far leads to one important question. How should institutions thoughtfully approach AI moving forward? Many administrators are hearing about AI from a wide range of places. Vendors are reaching out with new products. Consultants are hosting webinars. Board members are sharing articles. Teachers are asking questions. Parents are expressing concerns. There are many perspectives right now, and it can be difficult to separate what is immediately useful from what is still developing. So what I'd like to offer here is something practical. A way to think about implementation that can help guide conversations within leadership teams. One pattern I've noticed across many institutions is that AI initiatives often begin with the purchase of general-purpose tools. For example, an institution might buy licenses for a platform like ChatGPT or another AI assistant, and make those tools available across campus. That can absolutely be a useful starting point. It allows people to experiment, but by itself, it often isn't a complete strategy. Providing a powerful general-purpose tool and encouraging people to innovate with it is a little like giving everyone a race car and saying, "Go win the Daytona 500." The vehicle is capable. Most people know how to drive, but racing requires a different level of preparation, training, structure, support. Without that support, many people simply try the tool a few times and aren't quite sure how it fits into their daily work. And that's where many AI initiatives begin to lose momentum. Here's what often happens. An institution purchases hundreds of licenses. An announcement goes out introducing a new AI initiative. There might be a short training session or a professional development workshop. Some teachers explore the tools and try a few experiments. A handful of early adopters discover interesting uses, but many others struggle to see how the tool fits into their daily workflows. 6 months later, usage drops significantly, not because the technology lacks potential, but because the connection between the tool and the actual work people do every day hasn't been clearly defined. A tool without a workflow easily becomes something people try once or twice, but never fully integrate into their routine. An alternative approach is to think about AI through the lens of specific workflows. Teachers, professors, administrators, and counselors all have very different responsibilities. An elementary school teacher creating phonics materials has very different needs from a university professor evaluating graduate research papers. An administrator analyzing enrollment trends has different needs from a counselor writing student support plans. In other words, there isn't one single AI tool that perfectly serves every role within an institution. What tends to work better is an ecosystem of AI capabilities, tools designed around the specific tasks people are trying to accomplish. At first glance, that might sound complicated, but in practice, it often simplifies adoption. When a tool aligns closely with a real workflow, When it has the right prompts, the right structure, and produces outputs educators actually need, people are far more likely to incorporate it into their daily work. And when adoption increases, institutions begin to see real return on investment. One practical way to think about implementation is through a simple three-phase roadmap. Phase one starts with teacher workflows. Teacher workflows are often some of the most time-consuming and repetitive processes within an institution. They are also areas where AI can provide meaningful assistance. Two categories are particularly useful here: generative AI and evaluative AI. Generative AI can help with lesson planning, content development, and creating instructional materials. Evaluative AI can support assessment workflows by helping educators review assignments and generate feedback more efficiently. When implemented thoughtfully, tools that assist with evaluation and feedback can create meaningful time savings. Instead of starting every piece of feedback from scratch, teachers review and refine AI-generated suggestions. That shift from creating to editing can save hours each week, and those hours can be reinvested where they matter most: direct instruction, mentoring students, collaborating with colleagues. A good place to begin is with a small pilot program. Choose a department or a group of interested educators. Provide tools designed for their workflows. Offer targeted training. Then measure the results. Phase two expands the focus to student-facing tools. Once educators become comfortable with AI, institutions can begin introducing tools designed to support student learning. But this step should be approached thoughtfully. Student-facing AI tools should align with curriculum goals. They should include appropriate guardrails, and they should encourage critical thinking rather than simply providing answers. In many ways, this is similar to how textbooks are used. Students are not simply handed a textbook and told to figure everything out independently. Teachers guide the experience through readings, activities, and discussion. AI tools for students should be integrated with that same level of intentional design. Phase 3 focuses on institutional analytics and decision support. Areas such as student success prediction, early intervention systems, enrollment analysis, resource allocation, and accreditation reporting. These applications often require stronger data infrastructure and institutional alignment, so they typically come later in the process. But over time, AI-assisted analytics can provide valuable insights for leadership teams. When administrators consider AI investments, one of the most common questions is return on investment. A helpful way to think about ROI in education is through time recaptured. Every hour educators spend on repetitive administrative tasks is an hour not spent on activities that require human expertise. Mentoring students, facilitating discussion, supporting colleagues, designing meaningful learning experiences. AI is not meant to replace those human elements. Instead, it can reduce the time spent on routine processes. So, educators can focus on the work that has the greatest impact. When institutions track the results of thoughtful AI implementations, one metric often stands out: hours saved per educator per week. Even small time savings add up quickly. If educators gain just a few hours each week across an entire faculty, that translates into hundreds of additional hours directed towards student success. Another factor institutions consider is timing. Education often moves carefully with new technologies, and that caution is understandable. But AI is evolving very quickly. Institutions that begin exploring these tools now, even through small pilot programs, can begin building internal expertise. Those early experiments help institutions make more informed decisions over time. Thoughtful AI leadership is not about chasing every new tool. Instead, it starts with practical questions. Where do educators spend the most time? Which workflows could benefit from thoughtful automation? Which tools align with those workflows? How can professional development support effective adoption? Leaders who approach AI this way focus less on technology itself and more on how technology supports people. They also recognize that AI adoption is not a one-time decision. It is an evolving capability. Tools will change, workflows will evolve, institutions will continue learning what works best for their environment. In that sense, AI in education is less about a single solution and more about building a culture of thoughtful experimentation and continuous improvement. The institutions that navigate this well will likely be the ones that start small, learn quickly, and involve educators in the process. AI does not replace the expertise of teachers and leaders, but when used thoughtfully, it can support the work they already do and create more time for the parts of education that matter most.